Nobody expected the game to turn this ugly. What started as another high-energy showdown involving Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers suddenly exploded into pure chaos after one brutal sequence on the court left fans completely stunned, and according to social media, Caitlin's reaction afterward may have changed the entire narrative overnight. Because within minutes of the incident happening, clips flooded the internet. Slow-motion replays started trending. Former players reacted. Fans accused certain teammates of targeting Caitlin physically again. And then came the moment everybody is arguing about right now. Caitlin Clark allegedly responded in a way nobody saw coming. Not with panic, not with fear, but with a cold, ruthless performance that social media is now calling a complete destruction of everyone involved. And trust me, once the tension started building, the atmosphere inside the arena reportedly became toxic fast. Players were shoving, benches were screaming. Fans online started accusing referees of losing control completely. But what made everything even crazier was WHO got dragged into the backlash afterward. Because suddenly, the internet wasn't just talking about the brutal contact anymore. They started blaming teammates, questioning locker room chemistry, dragging Paige Bueckers into the controversy, and accusing certain players of secretly resenting the attention surrounding Caitlin Clark's rise. That's when social media completely exploded. One viral post reportedly said, "They tried to bully Caitlin physically, and she embarrassed all of them afterward." That single sentence spread everywhere. And according to fans inside the arena, the energy completely shifted after Caitlin allegedly delivered one icy reaction that left players on the other side visibly frustrated. But here's where things get really intense. Some viewers now believe this wasn't just another hard foul or emotional game moment. They think the frustration around Caitlin Clark inside women's basketball has quietly been building for months behind the scenes, and this latest incident may have finally exposed just how divided certain players really are, emotionally. And once we get into the brutal sequence, the alleged teammate tension, the fan backlash, the body language everyone noticed, and the way Caitlin reportedly responded afterward, you'll understand why this game may have just triggered one of the biggest controversies of the entire season. To understand why this moment exploded across the internet so fast, you first have to understand one thing. Caitlin Clark is no longer just a basketball player. At this point, she's basically become the center of an emotional civil war inside women's basketball. And whether people want to admit it publicly or not, the tension surrounding her has been building for a long time. Ever since Caitlin entered the national spotlight during her college run, she completely changed the energy around women's basketball. Record-breaking ratings, sold-out arenas, viral highlights, massive endorsement deals, celebrity attention, millions of new viewers suddenly tuning into games they never watched before. That level of attention changed everything. Fans treated her like a generational superstar almost instantly. But according to social media discussions, not everybody inside the basketball world seemed comfortable with how fast the spotlight shifted toward her. That's where the controversy really started. Because while supporters viewed Caitlin as the player helping elevate the entire sport financially and culturally, critics accused the media of turning women's basketball into the Caitlin Clark show. And once that divide formed online, every single game became emotional warfare. Hard fouls suddenly became national debates. Trash talk turned into viral controversies. Body language got analyzed frame by fans online. And honestly, that pressure followed Caitlin everywhere. Every missed shot got celebrated by critics. Every aggressive foul triggered outrage from supporters. Every emotional reaction became headline material instantly. Which brings us directly to Paige Bueckers. Because long before this latest controversy exploded, fans had already spent years comparing Caitlin and Paige constantly. Two massive stars, two different personalities, two different playing styles, two fan bases emotionally invested in proving their favorite player represented the future of women's basketball. And while both athletes publicly stayed respectful most of the time, the internet absolutely refused to let the rivalry die. Every matchup became overhyped emotionally. Every clip went viral. Every facial expression became proof of hidden tension, according to fans online. That's the environment surrounding this game before the opening tip even happened. Pure pressure. And according to people watching closely, the intensity inside the arena reportedly felt different from the beginning. Physical, emotional, hostile. Fans immediately noticed players bumping harder than usual early in the game. The referees struggled controlling momentum. Every whistle triggered emotional reactions from both benches. And social media noticed something else too. Caitlyn looked irritated early. That detail became huge afterward, because viewers started replaying clips showing her allegedly getting grabbed, bumped, and pressured physically before the major incident ever happened. Supporters instantly claimed teams were once again targeting her intentionally. Critics fired back, saying she simply wasn't used to physical professional basketball. The argument started before halftime, but then came the sequence that changed everything. According to fans online, one brutal play involving heavy contact suddenly sent the arena into chaos. Players started yelling immediately afterward. Benches reacted emotionally. Commentators sounded shocked live on air. And within minutes, clips of the collision flooded every platform online. Slow-motion angles made everything look even worse. Some viewers accused the opposing side of crossing the line physically. Others argued it was simply aggressive basketball being exaggerated by Caitlyn supporters again. But here's where the situation got really dangerous. The internet started dragging teammates into the controversy too, because according to fans analyzing reactions afterward, some players allegedly looked frustrated by the attention Caitlyn continued receiving even during chaotic moments. That theory spread fast. One viral TikTok breakdown reportedly gained millions of views after analyzing player reactions frame by frame and claiming there was hidden resentment brewing on the court. Whether true or not didn't matter anymore. The internet already locked onto the narrative emotionally. And once Paige Bueckers got pulled into the conversation too, everything exploded even bigger. Fans started comparing reactions, comparing media treatment, comparing referee decisions, comparing fan support. The rivalry narrative came back hard instantly. But honestly, the reason this controversy became so massive has less to do with one single foul and more to do with months of emotional tension building around Caitlyn Clark publicly, because supporters genuinely believe she's been treated unfairly physically since entering the league. They point to repeated hard fouls, aggressive defensive pressure, cold interactions from veterans, emotional post-game comments, and they argue jealousy over Caitlyn's popularity has quietly poisoned parts of the sport emotionally. Meanwhile, critics think the fanbase exaggerates everything surrounding her constantly. That divide created the perfect storm for chaos. And according to insiders following the league closely, some people inside women's basketball are allegedly becoming increasingly worried about how toxic the conversation surrounding Caitlyn has become online, because every incident now instantly turns into player wars, fanbase wars, race debates, media arguments, and conspiracy theories. Which means by the time the brutal sequence happened during this game, the internet was already emotionally prepared to explode. But nobody expected what allegedly happened after the contact. Because according to fans inside the arena, Caitlyn Clark's response completely changed the mood of the entire game afterward. The moment the collision happened, the entire arena reportedly froze for a split second. Then chaos exploded. Fans started screaming. Players rushed toward the play. Benches stood up instantly. And according to people watching live, the energy inside the building changed from competitive to personal almost immediately. Because the contact looked bad. Really bad. Slow-motion clips spreading online afterward appeared to show Caitlyn Clark taking a brutal hit during a high-intensity sequence that sent her stumbling hard as players tangled near the perimeter. And within minutes, social media went nuclear. They're trying to hurt her. This is getting out of control. The league better do something. Those comments flooded every platform instantly. Fans started replaying the clip frame by frame, searching for proof the contact was intentional. Some accounts zoomed in on body language. Others accused certain players of targeting Caitlyn physically because of resentment surrounding her popularity and media attention. And honestly, the atmosphere online became toxic fast. Because while supporters viewed the collision as another example of Caitlyn allegedly being treated unfairly physically, critics argued fans were once again exaggerating ordinary basketball contact into a conspiracy. But then came the moment that completely changed the game emotionally. Instead of staying rattled after the collision, Caitlyn Clark allegedly responded by turning ice cold. That's the only way fans described it afterward. Cold, calculated, ruthless. According to social media reactions, something visibly shifted in her demeanor after the incident. Her body language changed. The emotion disappeared from her face completely. And then, possession by possession, she allegedly started dismantling everybody in front of her. Deep shots, transition plays, sharp passes, confidence. The arena reportedly erupted every time she touched the ball afterward. And that's when the internet started saying Caitlyn destroyed everybody involved after the attack. One viral post reportedly gained millions of views, saying, "They woke up the wrong player." That phrase spread across TikTok instantly. And according to fans courtside, the opposing bench allegedly started looking increasingly frustrated the more Caitlyn responded aggressively through her performance instead of emotionally through confrontation. But then things got even messier, because social media suddenly turned its attention toward teammates and player reactions during the sequence itself. That's where the first shocking twist happened. Several viral accounts began accusing certain players on the floor of not supporting Caitlyn strongly enough during the confrontation afterward. And once those clips started circulating, the internet became completely unhinged. Fans analyzed who stepped in, who walked away, who looked frustrated, who stayed silent, and who appeared emotional afterward. It became a full-blown conspiracy discussion overnight. Some supporters even claimed certain players looked annoyed that Caitlyn once again became the center of national attention during a heated game moment. That theory exploded fast, especially once Paige Bueckers got dragged into the conversation publicly too. Because although Paige wasn't directly responsible for the collision itself, fans immediately started comparing how media narratives treat both superstars differently. That reignited years of rivalry tension online instantly. Supporters of Caitlyn argued she faces far more physical hostility than Paige ever has publicly. Meanwhile, Paige supporters accuse Caitlyn fans of turning every basketball moment into victim narratives. The arguments became vicious. And according to insiders, league officials allegedly started monitoring the online backlash closely because of how quickly things spiraled emotionally. But the real turning point came late in the game, because after the brutal sequence and all the chaos surrounding it, Caitlyn allegedly delivered one sequence that completely embarrassed the opposing side emotionally. A huge shot, a stare down, the crowd exploding, players visibly frustrated, and social media instantly declared it the revenge moment of the season. Clips spread everywhere within minutes. Sports pages reposted it nonstop. Commentators debated whether the emotional energy of the game crossed the line entirely. And then came the clip fans cannot stop replaying tonight. According to viral accounts online, cameras allegedly caught a frustrated reaction from players nearby immediately after Caitlyn's huge play, and the internet interpreted it as proof tensions between stars inside women's basketball are way worse behind the women scenes than fans originally thought. Whether that's true or not almost doesn't matter anymore, because at this point, people aren't just watching basketball, they're watching a culture war. And according to rumors spreading tonight, several players inside the league are allegedly becoming exhausted with how every Caitlyn Clark controversy instantly turns into worldwide headlines, while other stars feel overlooked publicly. If that's true, then this latest incident may have exposed something much bigger than one brutal foul. It may have exposed how emotionally divided women's basketball has quietly become behind the scenes. By the time the final buzzer sounded, the actual game almost didn't even matter anymore, because the internet had already transformed the entire night into something much bigger. This wasn't just basketball now, it was personal. And according to social media, the tension surrounding Caitlyn Clark may have finally exploded into full public view for everybody to see. The clips kept spreading non-stop. Every angle of the collision, every reaction afterward, every stare down, every bench reaction. Fans were slowing footage down frame by frame, searching for hidden emotions and signs of frustration from players on both sides. And honestly, the deeper people looked, the uglier the conversation became. Because suddenly the internet wasn't just accusing opposing players of being overly physical anymore, people started accusing the league itself of allowing Caitlyn to become a target. That theory exploded after fans compiled multiple clips from previous games, allegedly showing hard fouls, aggressive contact, emotional trash talk, and tense interactions involving Caitlyn throughout the season. One viral montage reportedly gained millions of views overnight. The caption, "They've been trying to humble her." That line detonated social media instantly. Supporters argued the league secretly resented how quickly Caitlyn became the face of women's basketball culturally. Critics called the montage ridiculous and accused fans of treating normal basketball contact like political conspiracy. The arguments became insane. But then came the shocking reveal that changed the entire mood again. Several commentators and former players started openly discussing whether jealousy inside the league may actually be real. That conversation had always existed quietly online, but now people were finally saying it publicly. One sports analyst allegedly claimed, "When one player changes the financial attention around an entire sport this fast, resentment becomes inevitable." That statement spread everywhere, because whether people admit it or not, Caitlyn's arrival dramatically changed TV ratings, ticket sales, media attention, sponsorships, and celebrity interest surrounding women's basketball. And according to fans online, not everybody inside the sport appears comfortable with that shift emotionally. That's why the reactions involving Paige Bueckers suddenly became such a huge talking point too, because Paige has been viewed for years as one of the most talented and marketable stars in women's basketball herself. Calm, skilled, popular, respected. But the internet refuses to let both stars exist peacefully at the same time emotionally. Everything becomes comparison. Everything becomes rivalry. And once fans started dragging Paige into conversations about Caitlyn's treatment, the backlash exploded instantly. Some people accused Paige supporters of downplaying the physicality Caitlyn faces. Others argued Caitlyn fans constantly create victim narratives that unfairly attack other players. The toxicity became overwhelming. But then another clip surfaced that completely reignited the chaos again. According to viral accounts online, cameras allegedly caught visible frustration from players after Caitlyn hit one of the biggest shots of the night following the brutal collision. And social media interpreted the reactions in the most dramatic way possible. They hate her success. That phrase started trending immediately. Now whether those interpretations were fair or not didn't matter anymore. Because once the internet emotionally commits to a storyline, it runs with it at full speed. And according to insiders following league reactions closely, some people inside women's basketball are allegedly becoming deeply concerned about how impossible it's becoming to discuss Caitlyn Clark rationally online. Every incident now turns into fan wars, race arguments, media conspiracies, league favoritism accusations, and emotional player comparisons. That pressure is becoming enormous, especially for younger stars. But honestly, the biggest reveal may have come from Caitlyn herself, because according to fans watching closely, she allegedly never publicly complained emotionally after the collision. That silence became incredibly important online. Supporters praised her for letting her game speak. Critics argued people were still exaggerating the incident anyway. But regardless of opinion, one thing became obvious. The more physical and emotional the pressure becomes around Caitlyn, the more dangerous she allegedly becomes on the court afterward. That realization terrified opposing fans online, especially after her cold response performance following the brutal contact. One viral tweet reportedly summed up the entire controversy perfectly. They tried to break her confidence and accidentally activated her killer instinct. That line exploded everywhere. And honestly, that's exactly why this moment became so huge culturally, because the internet didn't just see Caitlyn survive physical pressure. They saw her allegedly dominate after it emotionally. That transformed the entire narrative from "Caitlyn got attacked" into "they attacked Caitlyn and made her even more dangerous." But just when people thought the controversy couldn't get any bigger, rumors started spreading tonight that several players inside the league are allegedly frustrated about how every emotional moment involving Caitlyn instantly overshadows everybody else publicly. And if that's true, then this latest incident may not have simply exposed physical tension on the court. It may have exposed a deeper emotional divide inside women's basketball that's only getting worse with every nationally televised game. The second the clips from the game hit social media, the entire sports world exploded into chaos. And honestly, at this point, every major WNBA conversation involving Caitlyn Clark instantly turns into a full-scale internet war within minutes. This time was no different. TikTok flooded with slow-motion edits of the brutal collision set to dramatic music, while fans posted captions like, "They keep testing her. They want her rattled." She answered with violence on the scoreboard. Those edits went viral fast. Meanwhile, sports pages reposted Caitlyn's response sequence non-stop. The deep shots, the stare-downs, the emotionless reactions after huge plays, and supporters immediately declared it one of her coldest moments ever. But not everybody agreed. Critics accuse Caitlyn fans of overreacting again and turning ordinary physical basketball into some kind of anti-Caitlyn conspiracy every single game. That backlash only made things worse, because supporters instantly fired back with montages showing previous hard fouls, aggressive contact, and tense player interactions involving Caitlyn throughout the season. The comments became absolute madness. She gets targeted every game. Y'all only care because it's Caitlyn. The jealousy is obvious now. This league is becoming toxic. Those arguments spread across every platform simultaneously. And then former players started reacting publicly too. That's when the controversy escalated to another level entirely. Some ex-players defended the physicality completely, saying hard contact has always existed in professional basketball, and fans simply aren't used to seeing women's games treated with this much emotional intensity publicly. Others openly admitted the attention surrounding Caitlyn has created visible tension around the league. That honesty shocked fans, because for months, people argued online about whether resentment toward Caitlyn existed secretly behind the scenes. Now, analysts and former athletes were finally acknowledging the possibility publicly. One sports personality allegedly said, "When one player becomes the center of an entire sport overnight, emotions change fast." That quote exploded everywhere, especially because fans already believe Caitlyn's popularity dramatically shifted the financial landscape of women's basketball. Ratings, merchandise, arena attendance, national attention. Everything skyrocketed around her games. And according to social media reactions, some fans think certain players quietly resent how much attention she receives, compared to veterans who spent years building the league before her arrival. That conversation became incredibly uncomfortable publicly, especially once Paige Bueckers got dragged deeper into fan arguments online. Because even though Paige wasn't directly responsible for the controversial sequence, the internet immediately restarted the Caitlyn versus Paige war emotionally. Supporters compared media treatment, physical defense, fan loyalty, endorsements, and public narratives. Some Caitlyn fans argued Paige receives grace from the basketball community, while Caitlyn receives hostility. Paige supporters fired back, saying Caitlyn fans constantly weaponize controversy to attack other stars unfairly. The arguments became vicious fast. And according to insiders, league officials allegedly hate how quickly these player comparison wars spiral out of control online now, because it's no longer just basketball debate anymore. It's emotional tribalism. But then came another shocking development. Several viral accounts claimed players around the league were allegedly becoming frustrated privately because every major WNBA headline now somehow circles back to Caitlyn Clark eventually. Whether true or not didn't matter. The rumor exploded anyway, and honestly, that theory made the atmosphere surrounding the league feel even more tense publicly. Because now, fans weren't just debating one game. They were debating the future identity of women's basketball itself. Some people believe Caitlyn's arrival elevated the sport into mainstream relevance faster than ever before. Others fear media obsession around one superstar is overshadowing too many other elite players. That divide feels enormous right now. But perhaps the biggest reaction came from fans noticing how calm Caitlyn allegedly stayed publicly after the collision. That detail became huge online. No emotional meltdown, no dramatic press conference, no public complaints. Just basketball. And according to supporters, that made her response afterward feel even colder emotionally. One viral post reportedly gained millions of views saying, "The league keeps trying to make Caitlyn uncomfortable. She keeps making history instead." That line spread across sports media instantly. But the most dangerous reaction of all may have come from inside the fan bases themselves. Because at this point, supporters and critics aren't just disagreeing about basketball anymore. They're emotionally invested in proving entirely different visions of what women's basketball should become moving forward. And according to people watching the situation closely tonight, this latest controversy may have pushed those tensions to their breaking point publicly. Just when people thought the controversy would calm down after the game ended, a new rumor started spreading online late tonight that completely changed the energy again. According to multiple viral sports accounts, several people allegedly connected to the league were furious about how the situation exploded publicly after the collision involving Caitlyn Clark. And the reason why has fans completely spiraling right now. Because according to speculation online, some insiders allegedly believe the league is quietly losing control of the emotional divide surrounding Caitlyn Clark entirely. That's a huge accusation, especially because every major incident involving Caitlyn now instantly becomes a sports debate, a media war, a race conversation, a popularity argument, and a player rivalry all at the same time. And honestly, that pressure is starting to look unsustainable publicly. But here's where the final twist becomes really intense. Several fans started noticing something strange after the game ended. Certain players allegedly looked visibly frustrated during post-game interactions, while Caitlyn remained unusually calm. That body language analysis exploded online instantly. One viral TikTok breakdown reportedly claimed, "Everybody else looked emotional. Caitlyn looked calculated." That line spread everywhere. And once fans emotionally locked onto that narrative, the controversy transformed again. Now, people weren't just talking about physical basketball anymore. They started discussing psychological warfare. Some supporters now believe Caitlyn has completely figured out how to use hostile environments emotionally to fuel her performances instead of letting pressure break her confidence. That theory became incredibly popular after clips of her cold reaction following huge plays went viral repeatedly tonight. One especially massive post reportedly said, "The more they try to bully her physically, the more dangerous she becomes mentally." That sentence detonated sports Twitter. And according to social media reactions, opposing fanbases hated how quickly the internet turned Caitlyn into the hero surviving the storm once again. That backlash only created more chaos, because critics immediately accused sports media of protecting Caitlyn while unfairly villainizing other women in the league repeatedly. Meanwhile, supporters argued the physical treatment and emotional hostility surrounding Caitlyn has been obvious for months already. That divide became completely impossible to control tonight. But then came the most shocking reveal yet. Several commentators started openly asking whether the league accidentally created a monster. Not because Caitlyn was failing under pressure, but because she seems to thrive under it now. Think about it. Every controversy surrounding her somehow increases. Ratings, attention, media coverage, emotional investment, and fan obsession. Every hard foul becomes a headline. Every rivalry becomes national conversation. Every hostile crowd becomes another Caitlyn Clark moment. And according to sports analysts tonight, that reality may be frustrating some people around the league far more than fans realize publicly. Because if Caitlyn keeps responding to controversy by becoming more popular and more dangerous on the court, then the emotional pressure surrounding her may never calm down again. Especially with stars like Paige Bueckers constantly getting dragged into fan comparison wars online, whether they want to or not. That's what makes this situation feel bigger than one basketball game now. It feels like the entire culture around women's basketball is changing in real time. And according to rumors spreading tonight, some players inside the league allegedly fear things could become even more toxic moving forward if physical incidents keep turning into internet warfare after every nationally televised matchup. Because now every game involving Caitlyn feels emotionally loaded before it even begins. Fans arrive expecting controversy. Media waits for viral moments. Social media hunts for drama instantly. That environment creates enormous pressure for everybody involved. But perhaps the most chilling part of all this is realizing Caitlyn herself may already understand exactly what's happening around her. Because according to fans courtside, after the brutal collision, the crowd chaos, the online meltdown, and the emotional tension exploding everywhere, she allegedly smiled. Not nervously, not emotionally. Almost like somebody realizing the pressure wasn't breaking her anymore, it was feeding her. And if that's true, then tonight's controversy may not have weakened Caitlyn Clark at all. It may have created the most dangerous version of her yet. So after everything that happened tonight, what do you honestly think? Did Caitlyn Clark get unfairly targeted physically again? Or do you think fans are overreacting and turning normal basketball contact into internet drama every single time she steps on the court? Because right now, the entire sports world feels completely divided. Some people believe Caitlyn is facing visible frustration and resentment from certain players because of how quickly she changed the spotlight around women's basketball. Others think her fanbase exaggerates everything and unfairly attacks other stars anytime a game becomes physical. And honestly, that's why this controversy exploded so hard online. Once the collision happened and Caitlyn allegedly responded by completely taking over emotionally afterward, the internet instantly turned the game into something much bigger than basketball. Now people are debating jealousy, media favoritism, league politics, player frustration, and the future of women's basketball itself. So now, I want to hear from you. Do you think the league is becoming too physical with Caitlin Clark? Do you believe some players secretly resent the attention she receives? And what did you think about the reactions involving Paige Bueckers and the other players during the chaos? Because social media is going absolutely insane right now, trying to decode every reaction, every stare down, every body language moment, and every post-game interaction. Also, be honest. Did Caitlin's response after the brutal sequence impress you more than the actual incident itself? Because many fans are saying the scariest part wasn't the collision. It was how calm and dangerous she allegedly became afterward. And trust me, this story is far from over. Because if the tension surrounding Caitlin Clark inside women's basketball keeps growing like this, the next nationally televised matchup could become even more emotional, physical, and controversial than what we just witnessed tonight. So hit that like button, subscribe, and turn notifications on right now, because the second new footage, player reactions, locker room comments, or shocking league developments drop, you already know we're breaking all of it down immediately.